all of you cute beans out there, and welcome to the stream. I am Rosin, and this is DevTales, where we're going to be working on our SCAR system, or Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities. This system is available for open playtest on our Discord as well as itch.io. Go take a look at it, let us know what you think. Also, we have Placid Plastic Duck Simulator in the upper right there, because ducks. And we're using the TF Talkies to transform me to your heart's content. Now, with all that out of the way, alright. So, first things first that I want to bring up, how do you guys feel about another color of XP?
I'm gonna need to make a really good case for that.
So, I'm thinking that we adjust attributes and how players get them a bit. Because I've kind of noticed that there's been some, people are like, hey, we gotta get an attribute point. We gotta get an attribute point. Not a huge amount of that, but what I'm thinking is it'll still be milestone based, but, whenever we complete a smaller segment or perhaps a side quest, the storyteller can give a milestone. I'm thinking maybe 5 milestones per attribute. And obviously, if it's a major story beat, the storyteller can just give more of them. But that way, because, I don't know about you guys, but, in Wild Traditions in particular, it's like, well, I don't really want to just give you an attribute point for this, but also I want to reward you with more than just XP, so that's why I'm thinking, 5 milestones per attribute. Like I wrote in there, like you guys having completed the nature trial, or after you're done with the gym, you might get a couple of milestones for those. Kind of a thing to bridge the gap between getting attribute points. Or like I put in there, like in Wild Traditions, if you guys decided to just not go to Inloke City, which is the main, the next main storyline, and then just fuck off to, Osmond's side quest and uncovering that, you could still at least get some milestones for that towards your next attribute point, even if it's not something that would be worth a full attribute point. I'm not familiar with Morrowind at all, so I have no idea if that's like Morrowind leveling.
It's complicated. The answer to that is both kind of a yes and no. Which, yes, in that it is a, okay, so in Morrowind, you have major and minor skills. If you level any combination of major or minor skills 10 times, you get a level. Other skills do not count towards your actual level. You have 5 major and 5 minor skills. This also means you'll be left with, 17 or 18 other skills. Those main skills you have, each time you level it up, you basically get a little ticker. And once you fill up the ticker with 10 ticks, you get a level. So yes, in that it's basically like a ticker system. No in everything else.
Well, yeah. I'm not fond of adding in another, advancement resource, but I think it would definitely help bridge that gap. Keep the players happy, feeling like they're making advancements in the story and all that. And instead of just being like, okay, can we get an attribute point now?
I mean, the attribute's basically the same as any D&D player you're going, or Pathfinder player going, are we leveling this time? Are we level now?
Yeah, but this way, it gets them, then they can see, okay, I've got 2 milestones. I need 5. Okay, cool.
What in the world are you doing? Oh, gross. Excuse me a second.
I'm just eating some food while I wait for your guys' thoughts.
Not you, my cat. Yeah, my cat did cat things on my rug. I had to grab a tissue paper really quick.
All right. I definitely think we could add it in, especially considering that it's not like an XP system, like per se. It's more of just like a level progress bar being added, instead of it just being a pop-up going you've leveled.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's one of those things that could be optional, too. Like, use it if you want as an ST, or don't use it. I don't.
Yeah, it'd be really good for optional or like optional objectives or side quests or what have you. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we could add it in. I guess I could also. Yeah, it would probably work fine.
When you said another experience bar, you had me very scared.
Yeah, because I thought we were gonna have like.
I was gonna. I had the no gun loaded.
I didn't want to say no straight out. I was just about to say you're gonna have to make the most persuasive argument of your life right now. Go.
That was intentional.
Don't make me front load the no cannon. It takes effort. I don't have effort left in me.
Alright, let me make notes of this. Alright, so there is that taken care of. Alright, I guess we should have started. You know what? I think we're good on suggestions for now.
I'm kind of starting late due to ranting anyway.
That too.
Also, we got a lot of shit to go through, so you know.
Yeah.
We really should go through it next time, but you know, we'll start on time next time.
Hopefully. Alright, so next thing, because it's going to be required relatively soon, I wanted to go through the Primeval Cloaking proposal.
Where is the link for that?
That is on...
It's in the note docs. It's in the tab.
That's how we're doing these now, is that they're just in the notes document itself.
That's why I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I kind of got tired of, having 3,000 different links, so, as you guys can see, there's the, just add a new document tab. For anything that requires Google Sheets, I did make a tab for you to link from there. Or
Yeah,
I guess,
Sheets links.
yeah, Google Sheet links. I guess we could make this generalized so you can put other stuff if you really want to just put it in another document, but at least having everything standardized on where the hell to find it in the first place is important. But either way, I'm not too stuck on this particular resource name. The shimmer here. I'm open to suggestions. That's just what came to mind for last time, or when I was putting this
Shimmer
together.
your timbers.
But anyways, it's going to introduce a new resource system. Shimmer points are equal to subterfuge. You regenerate 1 shimmer per round. Shimmer points can be spent for various effects. The default ability allows you to simply cloak outside of combat to appear as a distortion in the air that is difficult to notice. Kind of like, in Halo, where the elites are cloaked, but you can still see the little distortion, you know what I mean, right? A lot of video games use that.
So, Planet Side 2 time.
Yeah. It's difficult to notice, but you can notice it. Rather than you're just straight up invisible. But while cloaked, you are counted as being in partial stealth. This grants +1 difficulty to hit/detect you, which is something that I think we should add to the general stealth rules as well. Just make that part of it. Possibly. I guess if you're just generalized stealthing, maybe not. We'll come back.
I guess
to
it might help if you're upgrading your current stealth level. So if you're not stealth, you go into partial. If you're in partial and you use it, you go to full. And if you're in full, well, you're already in full.
Well, this will give you, like, by default, partial stealth. Obviously, like, if you're going into, somebody becomes aware of you, then you would be in partial stealth anyways.
Yeah, it's just funny that you could stack multiple sources of partial stealth.
Yeah. But, well, it's what we got. Anyways, this ends immediately upon entering combat or being detected. It also ends if you use any ability. And these prices are also entirely up in the air. I'm fully up for changing them. I just put in numbers that seemed okay. For 5 XP combat cloaking, you may maintain your cloak during combat or after being detected. Each attempt to do something to you costs 1 shimmer. I guess that should be by someone else. So, like, they're aware that you are there. They can see the shimmer, the distortion in the air.
And it costs you a shimmer if they act against you.
Yes.
Okay.
So that way you can't just maintain it forever and they just can't hit you. It's like, okay, they're attempting to hit your general location. It's going to cost you to maintain it. Your cloak fails when you are out of shimmer points. You may cloak again with a quick action and 1 shimmer. Then another upgrade, expanded shimmers. for 25 XP is what I came up with to start. You may pick one attribute. This attribute now contributes to your shimmer points. It may not be repurchased. Darkness is my friend. Your cloaking now counts as full stealth. Knives in the dark. You may use an ability without breaking your cloak at the cost of 2 shimmers. If the ability has the stealthy trait, then it only costs 1 shimmer. Reactive cloaking. When an attack is coming at you while you are not cloaked, you may use 1 shimmer and your reaction to immediately cloak before the attack can land. Requires combat cloaking. Born in Darkness. 25 XP. Requires Darkness is my friend. If you would lose your cloak and are currently in full stealth, you regain 1 shimmer and drop to only partial stealth. Shimmering shimmers. You regenerate 2 shimmers per round. Okay, I didn't specify you. Regen 1 per round up above. Key put in some notes here. Might be prudent to clarify whether Born in Darkness functions during combat without also having combat cloaking. Such as if a character maintains...
I mean, it still has use outside of combat.
Yeah, it has use outside of combat, but I think he means, like, if you don't have combat cloaking, then could it be used in combat? And I would say no, you need to have the combat cloaking.
Well, because also you wouldn't drop to partial stealth in combat. You would just lose it and you just drop to not being stealthed from this. But yeah.
Without also having combat cloaking, yeah. I can make that note. Some upgrades from Key. Extended cloaking. You may apply your cloaking and its benefits to additional characters within feet range equal to feet limit. Doing so causes you to consume a shimmer each round per additional character cloaked. Maybe on that one. Refractive Assault. You may spend 1 shimmer as a reaction to temporarily apply the stealthy trait to an ability or piece of equipment for a number of turns equal to feet limit. Requires Knives in the Dark. Well...
If you're applying stealthy trait to a piece of equipment, wouldn't it be a quick action instead of reaction? Because I would assume that'd be on your turn.
Yeah, but if it's a reaction, then you could use it on your turn anyway, and it leaves it open to, if you have multiple reactions, doing that as a part of an AOO.
Also leaves your quick action open on your turn, which is fine.
Yeah.
We have things that you can use as a reaction during your turn. It's just that then you don't have a reaction before your next turn, unless you've got, extra reactions, but that's a whole other thing.
Yep. Alright, so a couple of thoughts, just right out of the gate. I feel like with this sort of thing, that there should be something where there is a penalty for moving and a bonus for standing still. Because if the way that it works is, generally speaking, like refraction, but, you're leaving behind signs, staying still should reduce that, and moving should increase that, potentially. This is just more of like a thematic thing. And mechanically, having access to, I'll just say like 18 shimmer standard is a lot. 5 from subterfuge, 1 from having a mastered specialty in shimmer, and then 10 from an attribute. 18 shimmer is kind of a lot. Granted, that's more late game, but you see what I'm saying with that, right?
I agree, but also, like you said, that is more late game. So, like, yeah, they could go all in on this, but then they're kind of sacrificing other stuff.
Yeah, I'm just more pointing out that with this, it will be possible for people to make builds where they are only detected in the combat at like round 5. Which is, I think, something to keep in mind.
Is that your only note, particularly, Tal? Or do you got
I mean,
more?
I have a couple more, but they're minor compared to that.
I'm not opposed to
So
getting rid of the expanded shimmers, so. Again, this is all proposal.
Yeah, that would put him at what, max 8?
Max 8. And then if you
Yeah.
have it, it would be max 13. Technically speaking, you could get more, but I'm just going, assuming that you have one mastered specialty specifically for your shimmer cap. Technically speaking, so long as it scales off of a skill, it can be infinite, so long as your storytelling keeps letting you infinitely buy relevant specialties, but, you know.
Yeah.
I base standard off of you having one. Because that's reasonable.
Is there an up... There is... There's not technically an upkeep cost either.
Yeah, there is.
Where?
Well, I guess, yeah, technically speaking, there's not like an upkeep, but
Yeah.
doing anything will break it, and if you want to do anything, you need to spend 2 or 1 shimmer per action, depending on the thing.
I felt that that was, like, I'm okay with it just being, you could just be cloaked as long as you want. But if you're going to do something, that's when you run the risk of it breaking. And of course, people, enemies can still hit your general area with AoE. Because at least if you're in partial stealth, they'll at least know your general location. And if they don't have AoE, while they could still attempt to hit you at just +1 difficulty or +2 if you're in full stealth, is what I was thinking. And then that would cost you a shimmer to maintain your cloak.
You want to know what the real unfortunate part about this is?
What?
We are 1 step closer to internet carcinization. You can now play TF2 Spy in Scar, and you can Spy Crab.
I don't know what that is.
So, do you know the TF2 Spy?
Yes.
There's a thing where if you take out the disguise kit and you look up at the sky and crouch, he walks around like a crab. Like pincer claw up, like crab look. And it's called Spy Crab. There is even, like official stuff for it, kind of, where, it has like the spy with, a little plushy crab on their shoulder. But here, I'll just put it in the streaming room chat thing. This is what it looks like. I think you can see why it's called Spy Crab.
Yep, that looks like a crab walk.
And carcinization is the phenomenon of non-crustaceans becoming crustaceans independently. Or non-crab crustaceans becoming crabs. of convergent evolution. You know, the eventually everything becomes crab.
Everything becomes crab.
I prefer the mustelification.
But that is not crab.
Well, there's two theories. Is that everything either becomes crab or it all becomes noodle.
But that being aside, minor notes on my side when it comes to the combat. Following the teleportation thing, starting it off as a standard action, making them buy into quick action, and then possibly upping the the XP cost to match the same thing as combat teleportation and quick combat teleportation. Which was...
Did I,
Oh no, combat teleport was 5 experience.
Yeah, I was
My
gonna
mistake,
say, could have sworn I made it the same cost.
Yeah, only
quick-
being able to use things in combat is fine.
Yeah. Okay, my mistake there. I thought it was higher for some reason, but quick port is 12 experience. So I would say make it a standard, make 12 experience for the shift to quick.
That's fine with me.
One thing that I don't like is the fact that you can infinitely stealth. And what I mean by that is grab Born in Darkness and or Shimmering Shimmers, as well as, like, you know, the combat thing. And then what you do is you do an attack. And also, if you have Darkness as my friend, which is cloaking counts as full stealth. You then proceed to nod a bit. You do your attack, and then you stealth on the spot using the shimmer point that you either got naturally or the extra one from Shimmering Shimmers. And then you also, you know, regain 1 shimmer from Born in Darkness, which gives you another, basically, like, refunds your shimmer expenditure. And you never even left partial stealth, so they still don't know where you're at. There is a way to infinitely stealth with this, and attack every turn.
I'm okay with removing Born in Darkness. I think that would solve that concern. Hello, Simple.
Where's my note page?
I think it's still possible to infinitely stealth. Because... well, then they would at least know where you're standing. Because you don't have the only drop to partial stealth thing. So they would at least know which square you're in, even if you would still have full stealth. Which, thinking about it, also means that you likely aren't getting hit anyway, because there's going to be +2 difficulty to hit you, and they can't use bypass accuracy to hit you because they, technically speaking, don't have line of sight of you. So you could go down a line where you do a full action with the full speed ahead feat, whatever it's called now, if that's the current name, where your full actions only take 2 standards and you have a quick, and then in your back pocket you have the quick cloak and the Darkness is my friend thing, where cloaking counts as full stealth. You do a full action attack, keep your quick action, and then do a quick action full stealth.
Okay.
Standing in place.
For Darkness is my friend, we can make it where you may now cloak to get to full stealth. instead of being locked to only partial stealth. So that way, they, you fully lose your cloak, and you can still use your quick action to at least obtain partial stealth, but you'd have to have another action to go back to full. Would that help?
I guess, if it makes it so that way, the upgrade makes it so that way, if you already have partial stealth, and you use a cloak, then you go up to full. Because then at least they can't do a full action attack and still stealth. Then it would be a standard action attack and then having to use 2 actions in order to stealth.
Which, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, they're, still stealth, but that's also drastically limiting their combat capability.
Yeah. Which matters for team play, it matters a lot less for non-team play. Because basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out how people are going to do bullshit like I'm going to kill the Tarask now at level 1.
Ah, floor level 1 clerics, got it.
I'm more looking out for the extremely abusable shit.
Yeah.
Well, again,
so obviously yeah, well that's why I'm just currently trying to think through the things that could be wrong with it first. Because obviously with cloaking, my first thought is, how do I infinitely stealth and still attack? And that's what people are going to think to do immediately with this, so I'm currently just going down that thought tree. Which, thinking about it, I guess you can also still do with Knives in the Dark. If on your full action thing, you put Stealthy on there, then it'll only cost 1 shimmer to use, and it won't break your cloak, and you get back 1 shimmer every turn. So that is also an infinite stealth. Or if you have shimmering shimmers, then you don't even need to have stealthy on the thing. You just use Knives in the Dark.
Yeah, shimmering shivers might need to just get Thanos.
Well, also, putting stealthy on a full action is super cheap. Like, egregiously cheap. It's like 12 XP to make something a stealthy attack.
Yeah.
Or a stealthy ability. So it's like, you put that, 12 XP, plus Knives in the Dark, plus Darkness is my friend, plus Combat Cloaking, plus this, which is another 25. Like, that's a lot of XP, but you can still buy this at character creation and be able to just stand there perma-stealthed and full action attacking. So I think, like, a lot of the bones here are super good. I think we just need to rework the resource expenditure so that way it's not infinite.
Congrats on that 270 stream streak, Riley. Hello. Oh, I'm open to what you think would work to fix this.
Yeah.
I do like the idea already, though, that you were saying about Darkness is my friend, where you can go up a level into full stealth using another action. I think that will be fine. So your cloak can now go up to a full stealth using a second action. I think helps Shimmers, I'm not as sure about staying around because it's not a huge resource pool, but nothing costs that terribly much.
I think instead of it being a passive, it lets you spend
Our
actions to
illustrious champion
regain
returns.
shimmer,
Welcome home.
potentially.
That might not be a bad idea.
For 8 months.
Kiatu, thank you very much for that 8 months of support. Thank you for the resub. So spending, say, a quick action to regain an extra shimmer.
Yeah, I think so. You think so, Tal?
Yeah.
All right.
We can also note down that this counts as a maintenance effect for things like quick focus.
Which is a great feat for anybody that's a mage.
Oh yeah, quick focus is great for a lot of things. It's just we need to go and actually write out what it fucking counts for half the time. Because we ended up reworking that and making that like work better before we or after we had already written out a lot of this stuff and technically didn't apply them.
Yeah.
So that also lets you basically nuke your turn in order to get back a lot of shimmer, but at that point you're nuking your turn, so you know, congratulations, bestie, you deserve it.
In Born of Darkness, we might want to remove the regain 1 shimmer, but
Yeah,
only
that
drop
definitely
down to
needs to.
partial. Yeah.
The reason why I put in the regain 1 shimmer is because if you drop to 0 shimmer, then your cloak fails. And so if you're losing, like, the only time you'd be losing your cloak is if you're at 0 shimmer. In which case, you know, you're already losing your cloak anyways. That's why I put in the you regain 1.
In that case, we could probably reword it. Because is this supposed to be a thing where... Okay, yeah. We can kind of reword it here. Instead of regaining the 1 shimmer, it could always just be you remain in partial stealth until the start of your next turn.
That works.
That way it doesn't, technically speaking, let you break your cloak on purpose in order to get back the shimmer point.
That work? The addition of the, unless something else happens that would break your cloak while you're in the partial stealth.
Instead of saying break your cloak, maybe say that would make you lose stealth. That way it covers other things that would potentially make you lose stealth.
There you go. And we are removing expanded shimmers, right?
That or knocking it down to half the attribute. 18 is a lot. 13 is still a lot, but that could be like a big like late game thing. 8
also
is still probably enough, but it also makes it so that way it's going to be very agnostic to your overall character level, and instead it's going to be, hey, I'm attribute 15 and I have 5 in subterfuge because I'm a cloak build and I have a specialty in it. I'm not going to get any more shimmer. Which is like, kind of a feels bad thing, because you're going to max that out really early if there's no attribute scaling.
well, there you go. I'm good with the half.
Are you fine with that error? Yes. The distant yeah has been heard.
Sorry, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet today.
I'm not really in favor for the key suggestions of extended cloaking, because that's more of a magic thing using invisibility spell stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, this is something that's supposed to be your own personal innate ability rather than, you know.
If you want to spread around invisibility fields, then that's what magic is for.
Refractive
Another thing to
assault
think
could
of.
be okay, I guess.
Refractive assault is fine. Especially because doing things with stealthy in with this still is not a get out of jail free, you don't have to pay shimmer thing. If it made it so there wasn't a shimmer cost, then yeah, I'd go no. But since there's still a shimmer cost of using stealthy things, it's it's good, but it's not exactly game breaking.
Sorry about that. I had a brief Rex interruption. What was that? Hi, Vari.
Oh, I was saying that since something having the stealthy trait isn't a use this for free, get out of jail free card for not breaking your stealth, it's fine. If stealthy things were free and didn't cost shimmer, then yeah, I'd say no. But since stealthy things still cost shimmer to use, it's whatever. One thing to keep in mind is that currently, Knives in the Dark says you may use an ability without breaking your cloak at the cost of 2 shimmers. We might want that to say actions or something instead, so that way you can't infinitely strike someone from stealth and go, it's not an ability, it's a maneuver.
That's...
Say that again?
Because since strike is technically a maneuver and not an ability, it won't break your stealth. So you could infinitely stand next to someone and just strike them to death and they can't do anything about it.
I think what we'll do is an ability or action that affects another character.
Asterisk hostile action.
Offensive action.
Offensive action.
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, I guess that still brings up the other thing of infinitely stealthed healer.
I was actually thinking about that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's a good point for making it where it does not affect another creature. If you want to stealth and heal yourself, I'm okay with that. or, you know, stealth or you cloak and use cleanse or such, go for it. But yeah, the if it affects somebody else, I would say that's where this comes into play.
We want to use phrasing similar to external actions or something like that to indicate if you're interacting with things other than yourself.
I'm good just putting in the more written out version of something that would affect another creature.
Okay. Because I'm also thinking of the person that likes to steal a little bit too much. Interacting with the environment kind of thing.
Yeah, but there's a difference between an unattended object and stealing it off of someone, because stealing it off of someone requires that you make an action that affects them.
True, but you know, I guess that's an ST discretion thing at the point I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Also,
pools of water thing.
creative solutions can and will bypass your special abilities anyway, so if someone dumps a bunch of fucking flour on you because they're like, hey, my super expensive rare magical item just lifted itself off the podium and disappeared, you know, throws bag of flour in that direction to cover the entire area, your stealth no longer applies. You know, there could still be shit like that happens.
No stealth for you.
It's not exactly like it says, but I have stealth. It's, you know, we have a creative system here.
Yeah, I'm good with the cloaked person being able to just loot. That's fine. As long as you're not stealing directly from somebody else. And well, if you're
somebody's watching.
and well, if you're stealing from something particularly valuable, I would assume that the person that owns that would likely have some manner of trap that would still get triggered.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And
yeah.
again, they don't have to know exactly where you're standing to blow up the entire area.
Exactly. Alright, anything else to change here?
For reactive cloaking, instead of saying before the attack can land, you should probably say before accuracy is rolled.
That
Unless you want it to be, a it hits you. Okay, I tried to stealth. Okay, it no longer hits you, or okay, it hits you.
I think we got to be careful about that because I know as an ST and other STs have a habit of going and they're attacking you and then rolling. Does this hit? Or rolling while they're attacking.
In that case, we should make it before accuracy results are announced.
Yes, that would probably be better.
Because, you know, skipping steps, yeah, we all do it, but the storyteller should also eat it if they jump the gun a bit and, you know, don't ask, you know, any responses or any actions or what have you.
Yeah.
Alright, so before accuracy results are announced.
Yep. Because it isn't like it really affects it anyway, because, you know, the player doesn't know how many 7s or 6s or what have you are in the roll that are about to get deleted.
Yeah. In most cases. When ST's private roll.
Which is going to be usually anyways.
Well, I didn't used to. I used to open roll, but then I got asked to hide my rolls because I wasn't fudging to save the party from my natural 20 sprees.
I ran into the same thing as well. When I was running organized play for D&D, players were complaining about me, you know, cheating. They accused me of cheating to the store owner. And thankfully, one of my other players that sat right next to me at the table and saw my results overheard the complaint and backed me up that I was not cheating, that I was actually rolling that many 20s. But yeah, they're like, just here, have this DM screen, just roll behind it from now on, please.
The reason
And
I hide my
fudge.
rolls is because otherwise players turn into absolute fucking nerds that try and reverse engineer all of the enemy stats all the time, no matter what.
I mean, I get that with AC no matter what anyway, so it's like, eh.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's a difference between, like, figuring out what it is, and then also going like, okay, they are attacking with exactly this many dice. By that, and considering where we're at, we're able to reverse engineer exactly how many dots in body they have.
I did get a GM to snap at me once when I figured out the AC and went, what kind of armor are they wearing? They went, oh, their dex is this, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's more about the fact of, it's one thing to figure that out, it's another thing to, in the middle of combat, have all your players be fucking focused on that instead of the actual, like, thematics of the fight going on. And, like, yeah, I get wanting to crunch the numbers to figure things out, but it turns into the focus instead of a side effect. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm hiding my rolls. Now you'll focus on more than just trying to reverse engineer the numbers. And I'm too lazy to swap between doing that and open rolling.
But
Either way.
sounds fine.
Okay, so let's go through XP costs now. So, expanded shimmers with the one attribute counts for half towards your shimmer points. I think 20. Well, maybe it is a bit much with the only half. Maybe 20 XP.
I mean, I think 20 is fine. It definitely shouldn't go below 20.
I can accept 20, yeah.
Alright, darkness is my friend. You may use your cloak again to go to full stealth if you're already at partial stealth. I definitely
That's a
think
25
that...
if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Knives in
Being
the
a-
dark. You may use an action that impacts another creature without breaking your cloak. At the cost of shimmers, you know. I think 15's good for that. Good night, Havoc.
I think I'm fine with it.
Yeah, 15's fine.
Are you thinking higher or lower?
I was leaning towards slightly higher, but like it's
If we were gonna do any higher, I wouldn't put it at 20.
no, but I would I'd definitely look at that and go, I'd pay 18 for that.
Yeah. Because I'm fine with 15. 18 would be okay. It's kind of an either or.
Yeah, that's why I was like ambivalent. I'm like 15 or 18 for me probably.
Yeah.
EG send Rex as the 6-7 meme.
I definitely think, yeah, let's leave it at 15, because, we do want it accessible for people to actually get this. And it's not like, and they're gonna have to spend a lot of XP to get even, 3 shimmers, so.
That, and also, have, like, part of the XP cost is eaten by it literally making you run out of stealth faster. Your cloak will
Yeah.
literally end faster because you're busy spending your shimmers on that instead of keeping them in reserve defensively.
Yeah.
Reactive cloaking. 10 XP currently, where you can use a shimmer to engage your cloak.
So Zim, I'm sorry to distract for half a moment. When I was looking at knives in the dark, I just thought teehee. If you know the joke, you do. Alright, what were you saying? Sorry.
I do not know the joke, but... I think 10's good on that. Maybe even a little less. Maybe 9? Not
Does
much
reactive...
less, but-
Here's an important question, actually. Does it only apply for that one attack?
Well, you'd still have the cloak, so it's kind of a... To keep the cloak after that attack, you would need to have 2 shimmers available. Because you spend 1 to activate the cloak. Then you'd have to spend another because they just did something to you. So
It
actually, you'd
also
need to
does have the activation requirement of when an attack is coming at you. So you have to be
Yep.
attacked in order to use it.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm
It's
aware.
not
I was just...
as a reaction you can, it's when you're attacked as a reaction you can.
Yep, no, I was just curious if it was going to be a quick... Or one of those things where it pops up and drops off, or if it continues after, just as a clarification. Because as it's written, it stays.
It would remain if you have enough shimmers to maintain it otherwise.
Yep.
But you
Since
would
it
need
can
to...
maintain, I'm fine keeping it at 10.
Yeah.
But you would need to have 3 shimmers available because you would lose 2 just from that one attack. And then the third would be to, that allows you to actually keep it. Alright, Born in Darkness. If you would lose your cloak and are currently in full stealth, you remain in partial stealth. I definitely think that should be dropped with some of our adjustments here. Especially because
I mean, it's
Everybody-
still pretty good, but it's probably like around an 18 then.
Yeah, I was going to say downward of 15 even. But 18's fine.
I'm leaning 15 on that. Not 55, 15.
I mean, we could put it to 55 if you never
No.
want to use it, Sim. Jeez, I didn't know you hated it that much. God.
The Scar social experiment unlocked. Basic ability costs 55 XP. Will people buy it for the meme? Tune in next time to find out.
The answer is Varya exists.
I was literally thinking of Vari when I said that.
Sorry, Vari, I know you're out there. Called out.
I can already just hear him doing the little soft rude.
We got an XD. That means he agrees and he's not going to argue.
Shimmering Shimmers. Definitely not worth that much now. Considering it's going to cost an action. A quick action, but still.
10 to 12.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, let's go 10. And Refractive Assault. You may spend 1 shimmer as reaction to temporarily apply the stealthy trait to an ability or piece of equipment for a number of turns equal to the defeat limit. Requires knives in the dark. Currently 15 XP. I
I mean, it
that's
lasts
fair.
for multiple turns, so I'm
Yeah.
fine with 15, yeah.
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 maybe even 18 on this.
I was halfway to 18.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm thinking of is that
it
it
requires a
works
feat.
on an ability or a piece of equipment, and it lasts for turns equal to feat limit instead of affecting the feat limit, like ability or armor or equipment.
I'm in between, so I'm going to set it to 18, mostly because we've already got several that are already 15, so just to vary it
That's
up a
right.
bit.
All right.
All right. Any other abilities you guys have in mind for this?
Not really. I mean, it's cloaking. There's
Only so much you can do.
Fair.
and like other things that you can do. Honestly, I would put that more up to that's up to you to creatively use it from everything that we have here compared to there being a discrete ability for it.
All right. Got that noted. Related to it, I was wanting to potentially look at expanding stealth mechanics a little bit. Currently, you got the full and partial stealth. When you're in them, it just means that your target has an effective evasion of 0 or halved, respectively. Do we want to include anything for if they're trying to hit you, especially with, like, partial stealth?
I mean, I'm fine with what was listed in the cloaking, where it's like +1 accuracy difficulty.
Or partial.
For partial.
+1 for partial,
Yeah.
+2 for full.
Yeah. Because then that could also stack with stuff like the being in, like, cover.
Yeah.
The one
Which
thing
makes
that
sense.
the one thing that I'm thinking of is that, like for full stealth, that might be really handy defensively. Is making it so that way auto hit things don't work on you. So if there's bypass accuracy, they don't get that trait.
I'd be absolutely fine with that as a full stealth thing, where bypass accuracy does not work. You have to still roll accuracy.
Yeah, I'm fine if it still
That'd be a
works when you're in
nice
partial
one.
because there's still something to go off of. But if you're in full stealth, they should not be able to bypass accuracy you.
I'm thinking that for partial, they still have to roll when they have bypass accuracy, and then they just go with whatever's on their thing, the 0 bonus, but it's at -2 difficulty. So there's still a chance to fail, but you also,
So at a total of -1, considering the +1 difficulty from the stealth.
Yeah.
I was thinking it ignores the bonus to defense from stealth.
Okay.
And just goes to a net 0.
Well, it goes to a -2 difficulty on their accuracy.
Okay. Just being clear.
Because, yeah, that becomes pretty worthwhile for stealth defensively.
Yep. I'd be fine with that then. That also gives people incentive for the stealth build, especially because I don't think too many people try to do stealthy tactics in Scar right now.
To be fair, a lot of that is because we have really restrictive rules for when you're when you technically initiate combat and your buffs are dropping off. So people
True.
don't do like stealthy pre-buff things in order to execute people, which is what stealthy people would usually want to do and gravitate towards. Which, speaking of, I guess we might want to put in a thing where, for ambushes and the like, in that case, you can pass turns while being in combat with it being initiated, but every turn you have to roll a successful stealth check.
So you can remain in stealth even though combat is officially started. But of course,
Yeah, and
they're
that
on
way
high
you can
alert.
buff up in stealth and then, like, do the whole, I assassinate leader now. Mwahaha, get fucked. I rolled successful stealth checks the past 3 rounds and I'm ready to go.
I like that. Go ahead and add that to the notes while I'm adding the stuff about the stealth and bypass.
There you go, fellow stealth builders. And I'm sorry, Lightpaw. Chase is already primed for this.
Remember, Lightpaw, that cloaking is specifically storyteller approval. You can just tell him no.
He can. He can tell me no. But I might just lean on the regular stealth.
And on the wings.
Also, by the way, Brace makes it so that way you can't get critted.
It is literally the hard counter to over crit shenanigans.
It's how you stop Jace from eating you alive. That's it.
Brace is the I don't feel like dying maneuver.
Yes.
It literally just turns off all crits and raises your integrities. It is very good. Dodge is more high risk, high reward, because with dodge, it just makes it a lot harder to hit you in general. +1 accuracy difficulty is kind of nasty. Especially because you can just do that on the spot, out in the open, and get fucked. No. I'm just gonna undo that.
Yeah, that part wasn't needed because it's already covered under full stealth.
Yep, I was about to say, oh, no, I don't gotta rewrite that. But yeah, that gives a mechanical thing for having to actually maintain your damn stealth. And being able to. So, you can stealthily do things and prepare a decapitation strike without it being a, lol, lamau, I'm in stealth, you don't even know I'm here. Skyrim stealth archer time.
Well, Lightpaw, as far as the heck your evasion thing goes, remember that there are feats to counteract that. I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, but there's a feat that allows you to just reset your hit stun.
Resilient defense and defense refresh. Resilient defense makes it so that way the first instance of hit stun that they suffer from an attack will not count per turn. So, if they have that and someone does a strike, it'll negate all of the hit stun from that strike. It just doesn't even get taken. And then defense refresh is between 2 different characters' turns as a reaction once per turn. You can reset. It isn't all of your defenses. You choose evasions or integrities, I think. I have to double check the exact wording. But then you just remove all the hit stun on there. So, you know, if Strikes McGee tries to fuck you up, after Strikes McGee's turn, you use Defense Refresh, and all of that strike hit stun, like, on your evasion is gone.
Yeah, it's a good thing that nobody in the party is doing a furry or flurry build. If I can speak
Fury
English.
build. Yeah.
I was tripping over my tongue ring for some reason.
Alternatively, you could actually use it in the middle of their turn.
You can't.
No?
No, it explicitly says as a part of the action thing as between two different characters' turns.
Fair enough. So you can't use it in the middle, but also, you know, your bosses could always just delay their turn. You know, as long as they roll higher than, like, Jace, you know, you don't want them to have that hit stun after Jace. Okay, they just drop their initiative to just below Jace. You could just do that. There's a lot of things that you could be doing to actually counteract Jace.
I'm sorry that Jace scares you, but he's also a one-trick pony. He
With
doesn't
lots of
have much
counters.
else.
He's a one-trick pony with a lot of counters that you can utilize.
Also, I'm fine changing Defense Refresh to just say once per turn. If we want to do that real quick. I guess it says once between each of your turns specifically, but that's really weird wording.
Yeah.
Because that's unclear if it's at any point in any turn, so long as it's between your turns, or if it's meant to be once between two different characters' turns.
We will just... I say you may just use a reaction. We'll just drop the first part of that.
Alright, I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, that, you know, just gave it a big upgrade, but that's fine. Like, I'm fine upgrading it.
Oh, wait, no. Once between each of your turns. So, but I guess once per round. That's how we'll do it.
Alright.
That would be the better way to do it.
Because that's, like, really weird. Light Paul, that has been there since, like 2 or 3 years ago. It was one of the first things that we added, like, feat-wise. It was in the initial batch of feats.
As far as actually on the document, though, it's been there since at least the end of last year because I have been super slow on updates this year.
Yeah, in terms of feats, it was part of the initial thing of feats.
Yeah, it was in the extra feats document, but on the actual document, it's been here since the end of last year. At least.
We've had it floating around the system for like 2 years, though.
Actually, let me go double check. When was...
You might be scrolling for a while.
It has been there since at least November 18th of last year. No, I just went and looked at my patch notes because it's highlighted blue, which means that it's 2 updates old.
Ah, okay.
So, and holy crap, I really need to get onto the updates. I have been so busy. Anyways, though. Next up here... damage over time and healing over time durations. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
because currently they last for 5 turns, technically, which is really awkward, and we don't have a good way to track that. And people don't really write down what turn they got said healing over time on.
I am all for just making these last the entire scene.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest, of just make them scene duration.
Yep. Are we cross-applying this to magic then as well with the same thing with the dots and the heal, or the dot damage there too? Or are we leaving that one?
That's a scaling thing, right?
Yes, it depends on the tier of the spell.
In that case, we're leaving that because that gets affected by other words.
Okay. Better to ask now.
Yeah, that's just magic having durations in as a part of it for balance.
Magic is a monster for actually balancing it that I do not want to mess with right now.
I mean, it's balanced. It's just also, like, in order to make it function, you either generally only get a couple of things that you really want, or you're diving full into it, baby.
Baileys.
Alright, discussion. Hunker down maneuver?
That was added due to, I think this was Taya mentioning, hey, is there a hunker down, in order to gain cover as a maneuver? And then we went, oh, hey, that's a good idea. Let's put that on the thing.
So
So a
just
defensive
be-
maneuver.
Oh,
But-
wait, it's a defensive maneuver that lets you gain cover,
Partial cover.
which I guess works kind of similarly to dodge, but not quite. It probably just increases your cover level by 1. Which would help a lot when in heavy cover.
I say we make this a sub maneuver off of dodge, maybe. But
Yeah,
otherwise,
it feels
I'm
more
good
like a
with it.
brace thing, but, you know.
Brace works too.
I'd agree with Brace.
The problem is that it's accuracy difficulty affecting, which is dodge, but thematically it's more of a brace.
I say we do it under dodge because it same stats it's affecting.
Oh, I have a
I
good
can go
idea.
either way. Go
I have a
ahead.
good idea. Instead of it increasing cover level, what if it does +2 difficulty if it's an AoE, but no change if it's not an AoE? So it gives +2 difficulty to AoEs against you. But if it's a direct standard normal attack that doesn't have AoE, it affects you like normal.
It's the equivalent of hit the dirt. In every single World War movie.
Light Paw, we're not gonna adjust cost if the time limit is going away because the time limit is not that it wasn't really being kept track of anyways, and most combats are honestly less than 5 rounds anyways.
Yeah, combat lasts between 5 and 8 rounds usually, so it already kind of lasted for the entire combat.
And remember, dots are also
Here, that-
really fucking easy to get rid of.
The other thing is that dots are usually mostly useful as tank busters. They're fucking awful cost-effective wise against squishier targets. Like, yeah, they still deal the damage, but it's not nearly as valuable. You'd rather just have guaranteed damage and just slap them upside the head and fucking kill them that way. it'll be a lot faster. Gabby, yes. Putting Dada on Nova as a tank would be pretty effective. The only other thing is that, well, but he is a tank that I've built well, which means that he has cleanse feats. Because the way to kill the tank is with condition damage. Yeah, that's right. To be fair, if you if you're applying infinite dot, you could have applied infinite damage anyway. You know, if you're applying 20 dot, you could have done 20 guaranteed damage and just fucking killed him. Anyways, how are we feeling about the hunker down maneuver being a dodge subcategory that specifically gives double the effect against against AoEs, but nothing when it comes to direct attacks? I mean, I guess we could always have it do the +1 evasion no matter what. But the difficulty.
Let me look at dodge real quick or make sure.
Dodge is currently +1 accuracy difficulty to hit you, and you get +1 to your evasions.
I think if they still get the +1 to evasion, it's good. With the so it's +1 evasion and +2 difficulty to AoEs hitting you. That I'm okay with.
Yep. I think it'll be good. It'll also be good in order to have a more specific thing to not get Lol Lamau AoE blasted constantly.
Doing the crawl.
Well, because currently there's no real downside to just putting extra targets and AoE on, like, everything.
Yeah, true.
So now, besides the XP cap hit, but, you know, it's like, now people, if they figure out that you only have AoEs, could just spam hunker down versus you, and you sad.
Honestly, the additional target stuff, I've been wondering if we need to maybe do away with them or do something about them, because they definitely make it where the... Technically, yes, sphere and cone and all that can allow you to hit more targets for cheaper, but the amount of times where those targets are actually in a position where that's where the sphere and line and all that are actually useful is very rare.
Yeah.
So they kind of make those useless.
There's a reason why for the weapons, I differentiated the cost for extra target between melee and ranged. Because melee extra target is different from ranged extra target.
But yeah, that is something that I have... It's just so much better to go with additional target over one of the actual AoEs. And I feel like we should fix that somehow, but I don't know how.
Yeah, it's better for a generic thing, but for pumping it into it, it's generally a lot better to go with the actual AoEs. It's just more better to do it as like a one-off or a two-off. So it's better as a generalist option. But this does at least give some counterplay towards not wanting to just do that. Because if people find out that you exclusively have AoEs, they're going to spam hunker down versus you. And be correct in doing so. Vari, no. Very specifically, you cannot do that because that was technically possible, and I brought up the Venn diagrams of death, and then we made it, okay, if you have AoE, you choose which AoE applies. If you have multiple types of AoE, you must choose which type of AoE will apply to that attack. So if you have, like, sphere, and you have additional target, you choose whether it's additional target or sphere when you use it.
Yao too, thank you very much for that follow. Welcome.
Because then it turns into Venn diagram of death where one person gets hit 11 times by a single ability.
Which is funny, but not mechanically sound.
Yeah. As a bit of a slightly more important one that I kind of wanted to go over, which is a rest healing rework. Because one thing that, like, the rolling dice in order to heal that much health is good. Like that's good. I like that. However, what we still haven't properly addressed and really need to properly address is injuries and things of that nature over rests, and how to actually heal them and at what rates do they heal and things of that nature. Because boy, do we technically not really have a good way of dealing with those, and it's more just storyteller says when you can get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree. That is something that we should address.
Of which I have thought of a couple things, but one of my primary ideas is to make it role-based.
Real quick, be right back. Go ahead and continue. I'll still be able to hear.
I was thinking about making it role-based in some way, scaling off of vigor or will or secondary scale or what have you, in terms of like someone's like natural recuperation.
Mm-hmm.
And making it so that way, effectively, they are attempting to remove the damage that is underneath and locked behind the injury. And if they manage to roll enough successes in order to do that, then once they've finally done that, they can remove the injury.
How would medics fit into this? Would they be rolling instead of the individual, or would they be rolling to assist?
I would lean more towards assist than replacement roll, but either would probably work for this and still be fine, considering that the way that things are generally stat-wise and what people want generally stat-wise. Yeah, I think people will probably want their specialized medic to roll for them or help them compared to having to, like, roll, like, vigor and, like, integrity or medicine by themselves. Probably a medicine roll, so that way...
I mean, you could do it because we don't really use, vigor too heavily often. Willpower a little bit more. You could just make it a flat vigor roll and you have to get X amount of successes per injury or something like that. And you just, as a thought, because we got the whole if you have an injury, your HP goes down by 25%, right?
Yeah.
So you could take that HP that you're down by let's say you're at 10 HP. Normally you're down by 25. That's a factor of 2, technically 3.
3.
Yeah, that's why I said 2, technically 3.
Yeah.
So you would have to roll 3 vigor successes total to heal. And the DC would be like your tier or something. So that'd be 3 days where you're down. Minimum. Even if you do a high vigor build. But that would also encourage people to put more into vigor.
By the way, I double checked. You would be down 2 by math.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that way we're kind of using a ticker there. So it's 1 roll a night or per long rest. It's just a vigor, and the DC is just your tier, just to make it really simple math. Nobody has to do anything fancy. You either roll enough dice in that night to get close to healing, or you don't.
In that case, how do medics interact with that?
Medics would probably be rolling versus the tier as well, but they're probably rolling to give bonus successes, I would assume. So they would have to roll a medicine check at, like... We'd have to codify the DC, but they would give bonus successes.
For that, I was thinking, the 3... Between 3 and 5, depending on how punishing we want to be, times tier. But, successes would carry over between nights, potentially.
That would be a little hard to track, but I could be fine with it.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
still?
it's more like if we don't...
Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
You're a little tin canny, but it's okay.
I'm on my headset. I wanted to go sit in a different room because my office is hot because, well, this house is very... Well, the AC is good. It's just this house is really good at retaining heat, which is great during the winter.
I was about to say, but we're not even in the summer yet, and you haven't seen how hot and humid it gets here.
Yeah. But
get a dehumidifier.
The humidity hasn't been too much of a problem in the house.
It will be.
But probably.
Yeah, if you're already having heat retention, during summer you'll also get moisture retention.
Okay. Either way, what I am thinking on this is maybe we... The problem with this is that it would kind of punish those that go for the healthy feats. But what I'm thinking is that your medic can assist you, but you have to make your vigor, probably integrity roll. And that goes towards your... You have to get as many successes as the HP that you're missing. And if it's a tier 2, then you gotta... To get completely rid of the tier 2 injury, you would have to get 2 times the health. Well, no. Because it's still the same. But you can downgrade it to a tier 1 if you get enough successes to make up the half of it. That's what I'm thinking on it.
It'd still disincentivize you from getting the healthy feats, because then it means once you have said injury or late game, it becomes almost impossible to, in a timely fashion, get rid of them. So that's why I was proposing the SR requirement being between 3 and 5 times the intensity of the injury. Because that makes it so that way, early game and late game, it's going to be a lot easier late game, I think. And, I don't want to... But I also don't want to make it, fucking impossible late game and making it so that way your late game character is laid up in traction for a week because they picked up a tier 2 injury. And they need to get enough successes to pay off, 36 health worth of injury, you know?
The alternate option is we could always make it based on the character tier. Just that way later. Because I worry that at some point when you're a higher level and you got a bunch in vigor, that those points aren't going to be hard to just erase in a night. Necessarily.
Well, part of the thing is that the injury isn't supposed to be able to necessarily be able to easily get rid of with a single rest.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it probably shouldn't leave your character laid up in traction for like a week straight.
Definitely not. But at least a couple of days with a tier 1 injury, you know. That's the
that's why I was
ideal.
That's why I was suggesting the multiplier based on intensity. But it's also about making it so that way your medic feels like they're helping without making it so that way, you know, if the medic helps, it's just gone. So, all right, yeah, how do we feel about, regardless of anything else, a character's natural recovery basically being a vigor, expertise, integrity pool for however many they get back, like how much progress they make towards getting rid of it per night, per full rest they manage to do.
Yeah,
I'm definitely
fine with that. Go ahead.
I'm good with that as well.
Do we
Alright,
want to
so-
block specialties or leave specialties as something that somebody can do?
If you want to pick up a recuperation specialty, you know, that's on you. I think that should work.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to spend the XP to pick up yes, I get injured a lot, let's get a specialty, go for it.
Yeah, that's... You
I
know.
ask because I know people that would do that and then just injury farm themselves.
Well, yeah, but at that point, you know, you're building your character to do that. Like, if you want to constantly be missing max HP and then get it back just in time to lose it again, you know, that you do you, buddy.
All right.
Now, the rib special is exhaustion. Don't get it twisted.
I wasn't talking about Riv. I was more
No,
leaning
that was
towards
like-
Nova. I know. Yeah, unfortunately, Riv is a FWAM.
He is an exhaustion special boy. But yeah, so do we want it to make it vigor, or do we want them to be able to choose between vigor or willpower?
I definitely feel like vigor needs more use.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Do we allow, because there is a important feat that might affect this, where it's during rests and due to second wins, you get to roll twice and take the better result. Does that feat apply to this sort of roll?
I say yes.
It is a whole ass feat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it is a
25
whole
XP.
SP.
I say yes.
Yeah, all right. So it would include for that. For the medic portion, being helped out by a medical professional, there's a couple different things we could do, which is exchange rate of successes on medic check to successes on patient check. We could do that. We could also let them spend successes on their check to decrease difficulty, maybe.
That sounds like another point system, though.
Yeah, which is why. But I'm like more bringing up like possibilities for this.
I mean, decreased difficulty isn't something we play with too much when it comes to, like, rests, is it?
No, because
might-
rests don't have that sort of mechanic involved. it's just a flat number, whatever you roll.
Yeah.
Which right now, like, it's you kind of have to try, or rather, get really unlucky to not full heal over a rest.
Well, that's also because a lot of the games currently have an average health pool of like 15 to 20 for most characters, and most people put 2 to 3 points in vigor. But, you know, if you have 1 point in vigor and you have like 20 health, no matter what you roll, you're taking a couple days to heal that back. Vari does bring up an interesting point of medic successes translate to additional dice for the patient. That could be an interesting way of translating it.
I like this idea.
So, you know, if the medic gets 6 successes on their heal check, everyone that is trying to remove an injury can get 6 additional dice on their roll.
Yeah. So it would be 1 for 1?
One for 1, but it's 1 success to 1 dice, which is still technically effectively a 2 to 1 down trade.
Yeah, that would be very simple too, so that wouldn't be hard math or weird math. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Everybody likes more clickety clacks.
More clickety clacks.
If you don't like more clickety clacks, what's wrong with you? Get help.
The other thing that I was thinking about is that it would be nice if willpower did anything during rests. Because currently they do literally nothing during rests. So what a lot of people will do is they'll just spend all their willpower, but they'll hold out on vigor so that way they can have something during rests. Because willpower not doing anything rests means that, like, you know, there's no opportunity cost from using it besides not having any left over for other roles you're doing. Not a part of a rest.
We do have that one feat that makes use of willpower and not using it though.
Well, yeah, but that's not a rest thing. Well, I guess also there's a difference between willpower points and the amount of ranks you amount of dots you have in willpower.
Yeah.
But it's also like I feel like high willpower characters should have something for rests.
Couldn't you make the same argument about body and soul then?
No, because that's a primary versus secondary thing.
Yeah. Where else do we use willpower, just in general?
Willpower is used for, obviously, rerolls.
Yep.
That is about all we use willpower for. Because
Yeah, and
that's all
basis of
anyone
magic.
really cares to use it for.
Yeah. Or the base
It's also
of magic.
it's also the base of magic, but, you know, that's technically an optional system. But the other place that it's used is as, for instance, a static number that gets tacked onto the end of a second wind heal.
Because it doesn't fit with the healing, I don't think, personally. Unless we hardlock it at character creation, which is another thing somebody'd have to choose.
Yeah, but I don't feel like doing that. Especially because characters can change as you play.
So we might have to consider other things for that later.
Yeah,
The question is how many... I think we should more focus on what the successes amounts per injury is going to need to be.
Yeah, but I wanted to discuss this just because it's like, if we want to feed it into this or make a new thing for it. Because another thing that I thought of is maybe Vigor could be used if it's a more physical injury, and then Willpower if your injury is taking on a more, like, mental aspect.
Actually, that's a really interesting dynamic.
I like that, except for the fact that it's, then there's the, okay, where does the soul side come in, you know?
Yeah, but this is for like rest healing and like second, like almost second windy type stuff, which has always explicitly gone off of the secondary attributes, which is vigor and will.
Wonder if that would be hard to track though.
Yeah, it might be a bit harder to track. It might be worth it if it, instead of being based off of like a character creation thing or a like based on the injury type of thing, if instead it's more of like an approach of how are you attempting to get through this injury or get past this injury. Because there is something to be said for like having the vigor to recover or like, you know, that sort of stuff, or the willpower to just go, fuck it, Weeball, I'm ignoring this and it's not going to affect me, and we just make
It's
it
but
so
a
that way
flesh
we
wound.
choose one when taking a rest to roll. Which, you know, might give something for characters that are specialized into more of one of the secondary attributes instead of doing what most people do and keeping them even.
I'm okay with allowing them to choose which one they use to shrug off an injury. I think
'cause
that's
it's
what
more
we'll
like-
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
It's a hard one. Dang.
So then, speaking about what those successes translate into after the person makes that their particular roll, there's basically two options. One, we scale it off of the tier of injury itself as the primary factor, or we scale it off of the missing health that's locked behind it as the primary factor. How are we feeling about each of those approaches?
Character tier. It's probably the most fair option to everybody. I just do want to make sure that it is an actual penalty overall. So it would have to be a high multiplication there. But I think character tier would probably be the most fair option.
Character tier times 3 times intensity. So, you know, a tier 1 character, your starting character having an injury, would need 3 successes to get rid of it. Meanwhile, a tier 3 character with a tier 2 injury would need like 18. Which for a tier 3 character is still nasty, but that should still be like 3 or 4 days of recovery usually.
And we do use that times 3 multiplier in Magic, so it's not outside the rule book. Yeah, and it scales with you, because if you have more health, you're more like, or if you're a higher tier character, you're more likely to be harder to get an injury, and once you get injured, you're probably really messed up. Thematically speaking.
So, you know, it's like a little bit of math with it, but I can, like, first of all, on the sheet, like, I can auto-calc that, so that's fine. But it's like, you know, making it so that way it's character tier times a small multiplier times the intensity means that it will consistently matter for all tiers of characters across the entire thing. and at no point will getting even a tier 1 injury feel like a minor inconvenience. Because, a tier 4 character getting a tier 1 injury is still going to need 12 successes to get rid of it.
I also think I want to separate it from integrity. Maybe instead we do it with medicine.
I was thinking medicine, so that way it listed a bit more as a thing for like the semi-assist thing that medics can do. But it is also I could really see it going either way for it. It isn't like we have a recuperation skill or anything,
No. That's partially why I considered not using expertise or skill for once and just going flat stat, but...
An injury, it requires medical attention. So either you can do that to yourself or you're going to need that help. And that makes it where the medic is still very important and useful for getting rid of the injury.
Some injuries do heal if you just kind of sit back and stay the heck off it, though, too.
Yeah, but that could be represented by it being like, a tier 1 injury that doesn't have a super high requirement. So,
True.
You just coast off of your secondary attribute and an expertise and have nothing in medicine and just eat the fact that it's going to take a few days to recover from it instead of getting proper attention. Also, you could just get lucky.
True, that
You're
is very
rolling
true.
dice,
You could Nova.
You can just get lucky.
Are we going to allow botches, then, as a consideration? If you roll and you botch, do you add?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that just modifies your current total towards progress.
Add half.
Okay.
So yeah, I figured that was a pretty important part of the game that we just haven't addressed.
Well, it's kind of a weird thing, but...
Yeah, but I
think
wanted to get it addressed.
Yeah.
I think to make it simple, the medic just assists your roll. Just the straight up simple, they add their medicine dice to your roll. But I would
that's
say
probably gonna even out to be about the same anyways.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. So we're not introducing technically a new mechanic, it's just the same thing.
I'm assuming we're not allowing teamwork. Or are we?
I would allow it, but that's going to be more like having a medical assistant go around with the medic.
Yeah, I meant without
or like
someone. Medic.
Because here's the thing. When it comes to like fixing yourself up and recuperating, even if they aren't like a trained medic, having someone that like can at least like give you things or like puts a wet cloth on your head or whatever, what have you, will do things that means that you don't have to go and do it, so you're not like aggravating your wounds.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the medic still feels useful at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot easier to get more dice in that role from being a medic and having specialties and mastered specialties and all that, compared to a maximum 5 of teamwork, and that's assuming you have 5 teamwork.
Yeah.
With how this works, like, having 3 teamwork is considered having pretty good teamwork. 3 in medicine is the sign of a decently competent person with medicine.
Lightpaw, every group it really should have a medic. That's already a thing in every tabletop game. Currently
also,
with Second Wind and such, technically we do allow more healing than other tabletop systems, you know, more personal healing, but you should still really have a medic.
or everyone should probably have, like, honestly, there is almost no excuse to not have 2 to 3 dots on your character eventually on medicine, if for no other reason than, like, healing moves or abilities. Which does not replace a medic. But if everyone has 2 to 3 medicine, that'll keep a group going for a long time. But also, getting injured, normally the response to getting a lasting injury that isn't just a I'll sleep it off type thing is, fuck, I should go see a doctor. Variant is potentially weaker. However, due to specialties and averages, let me put it this way. Having a dice pool of 18 would average success result in 8 successes. Like, mathematically, exactly 8. 18 goes to 8. Which is... like, that's pretty achievable with medics. Having an 8 in medicine to help someone that has an injury on them, like, because just to put it this way, if you're a medic, you probably want to have at least 4 in medicine, and you're really gonna want to have, like, a couple of specialties or a specialty and a mastered specialty for this sort of thing if you're playing a dedicated medic.
I will be able to personally test this very shortly, so I'm not overly worried about it.
Also, technically speaking, if they're properly assisting, that means that they can spend their own boost die and vigor and willpower on the rolls to help people.
True.
So, you know, if you're a person with the like a tier 3 injury, intensity 3 injury, like actually almost dead, medic can kind of focus on them a little bit and give them some vigor or something, because holy fuck, they need it. But yeah, so I think that this will massively help maybe not like streamline, but standardize recovery processes across games, instead of it just being kind of a storyteller vibe check. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that off as discussed. Did we want to go over anything else in this list, like, in particular, or bring up something in particular?
We've got like 15 minutes left, it looks like.
Well,
Yeah.
we need all this
So then if
noted
nothing-
down.
Yeah, I'm about to start noting that
Okay.
down. I was just asking that literally while I was getting this open.
Okay.
Because if not, like, I'm fine just, like, getting some live discussion about the 1.6 mock-up stuff going on. If we don't have anything else. But if one of you guys have something to, like, actually bring up, then, you know, go ahead with that.
Nah, I got nothing specific. If I had it, would have been in the notes.
Yeah, a lot of this is looking like it'll be a long discussion, except for the crafting cost success requirements based off trade points instead of raw tier. I'm 100% on board with that. That makes it so you can modify the weapon as well with, know how many successes you need for that.
Yeah, with actually making the base, because a base weapon with no traits is still useful. I was thinking like 5 times tier for like a base bare bones weapon with no traits.
I'm assuming compounding successes, right?
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, I'm fine with
but
that then.
that way, that, and then with trait points. If you wanna max out a weapon's traits and build it, like that's a project compared to, yeah, here's a functional weapon. I can I can make a couple of these actually. How are we feeling about base cost plus trait point expenditure?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, I can note that down really quick.
You take care of the rest. I'll take care of this.
What was that feat name? I have this on a couple of my characters. I should really know what it is.
What feat?
The one where you get to roll multiple times and basically roll with advantage when doing second wind or rest healing.
Yeah.
I just can't. I have it on multiple of my characters, so I should really know what it is. I just kind of forgot. Resilient Vigor, that was it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's noted. I'll split this up slightly. All right, so with that noted down, do we feel like glancing over the mock-up 1.6?
I mean, I've been glancing it over while you've been sending me stuff.
Yeah, but there's a difference between that and like at least poking over it live for a couple minutes. I don't know if you wanted to bother.
I'd say taking a break before session is good.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us so far on the stream today. That was DevTales. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Patreon, and more. There on the website as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is your support that keeps this channel alive and going. I cannot do this without your guys' help and your support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to help out the channel, that you can also do so by sharing the stream around, tipping to the channel directly, using our Humble Bundle partner link, or just coming by and hanging out. But for now, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, and I bid you all the most fondest adieu.
Bye-bye.
Bye.